whenever we have seen great examples of government initiative to invite civic participation, they have been more individual than institutional. So you would see, a bureaucrat who's dynamic, who wants to do more, engage that much more. But when that individual moves out of that ministry or department, then the engagement falls flat again. In an ideal scenario, what should happen is that these wonderful positive examples need to be imbibed within the government and made more institutional. But more often than not, they remain pilot projects or projects, which individuals focus on rather than them becoming institutional.
Does knowledge of the system, or does knowledge of civic engagement in citizen voice actually help extract more responsiveness from the government? Like, does this knowledge of systems also make a difference?
One can think about public officials as facing different kinds of pressures upon them. And I'll just name 4 which are key. One is organizational pressures from within the bureaucracy, the systems, higher up officials, etc. The second is political pressure from outside. It could be from politicians, could be from business elite, or other sort of interests within society. The third kind of pressure would be, in many cases, peer pressure. Bureaucrats are part of larger systems. And so sometimes, for example, doctors or health workers can have peers outside of government. And that pressure can come in, their professional pressures. And then finally, and usually last, is the citizen. The pressures coming from society that are groups that are demanding things. So all of these are pulling in different directions, maybe pulling in different directions. It's rare that they're all pulling in the same direction. So that's on the one side, these pressures. On the other side, there are the motivations for public officials. They come with some interests, ideas. These might be related to career enhancement. Some might have political ambitions. Some might want to go do things in the public interest more generally. And of course, there's this idea of economic gain or rent seeking, making money from your position. These are all motivations that public officials come with.
There is a great urgency among political leaders and bureaucrats that I'm seeing now to respond to the present, particularly in India and particularly in cities where they're actually running out of ideas to demonstrate change on the ground. So there is a bit of a struggle, and they're not hesitant to share their struggles in safe spaces, of course. And electoral politics in cities appears to be getting more competitive, and citizen voices are getting louder through the media. So there is a here and now which forces politicians and bureaucrats, political executive more, and the bureaucrats to invite you to the table. That could take one of 2 forms. One is because somebody referred me to you. Somebody credible who I trust referred me to you, saying that this person can actually help you solve a here and now problem. The second is when your hand is forced, which happens very rarely in India because of lack of adequate platforms for citizen participation and lack of adequate civic mobilization, etc., which Chakshu spoke about. But that is also that does happen in extreme circumstances. The RA protests or the protests against the steel flyover in Bangalore, or maybe some of these incidents in Delhi and so on. So these are one of 2 ways. So there is a referral way, and there is a way in which somebody forces my hand to invite you and to create an exhaust vent to vent out some of the energies.
I was wondering, Anuradha, could you sort of expand on this by giving us an example from across the world that you have seen where one has been able to establish being invited to the table and then getting working together and then actually seen as an equal partner?
The most sort of well-known example, which is from the Philippines, which comes, it was an initiative by a civil society group, a monitoring group called GWatch, Government Watch, that looked at textbooks. Textbooks weren't reaching schools. And the idea was, well, why weren't they reaching schools? Clearly, they were being the money or the books themselves were being diverted and sold in the open market. So this government watch organization actually partnered with government at the highest levels. So made an alliance with the central national government, who was also concerned at some level about why these books weren't reaching the frontline school, and agreed to set up a monitoring system at every level of the chain through which the money or the books had to go through. And by tracing at every level, monitoring at every level whether the books were reaching every level, they were able to actually increase the availability of books in the schools. So the point I want to make here is that GWatch collaborated with government, was a collaborative and constructive sort of monitoring. The other point that I want to make is that GWatch, although it was a national level organization, had to ally with other organizations, civic groups at every other level, because they themselves could not be operational in all these levels. So this capacity to create coalitions across the chain from the national to the local level was really critical in this example for it to be working.
There is one gap which is very pronounced, and and to a certain extent, both Anuradha and Shrikant have alluded to it, which is just understanding what the org chart or the organizational chart of governance looks like. And I'll give you an example. Most members of parliament that you will meet will, after a few days, tell you that their biggest, time guzzler is people coming to them for municipal problems. Fix my street, fix my street light, take care of my sewage, get my child admitted to a school. And that's what, Anuradha was saying, that Guatemalan example that she was giving is, knock on the right door. The second gap is understanding that nothing happens anywhere in the world for free. There is a cost allocated to it. And government departments have budgets, and those budgets have to be, used in a particular manner. Now, if you come up with an idea which does not fit in with their fiscal priorities, it will be difficult to accommodate that idea. And budget priorities don't happen once a year. Budget, all of your work at accountability is about the fact that budget is a cyclical process. When one budget ends, the next day the work starts for the next one. And somehow I have felt that there is some gap in civic organizations and in young people in understanding the intricacies of, how money flows happen in government for government schemes.